in relation to Vice President candidate Marrojas, because it was the election process in the past when he lost the Vice Presidential race. And third one is a member of the Supreme Court, Antonio Carlos, who also wants to be Chief Justice. So he has his own theories on why the impeachment complaint was filed. But with respect to us as members of the defense team in the impeachment, these are things that do not concern us because we are here to face the impeachment complaint itself and to tackle the issues in the impeachment trial. With respect to your second question, I have the information.
The man who was condemned by the Senate.
First, let me clarify that I have paid for my remarks.
But they're not paid. By the way, they're not. All of them, they're not paid. They're all pro bono.
I picked up the bill for that one all by myself. But I don't know if it's possible to fall into that. Again, I wish I could tell you straight who it was that the information came from, but that would surely land me back there explaining again. So let's not go there. Let me tell you that my statement was in fact confirmed a few weeks ago when the budget was released to 5 of the 23 senators, as reported by a newspaper. Johnny Ponce Enrile, Gregorio Monasan, Tito Soto, Lawrence Legarda, and I think William Defensor received 100 million as part of their yeah. No, I don't know if it's called that. But anyway, there's yes, for their let's not put it that way. But this is what I was referring to. Although all the senators are entitled to receive this, apparently Malacanang has found a way to exercise its discretion as to the timing of the release. That is what we were trying to bring out during the press con. And we were surprised that it was reported in the paper about 2 or 3 weeks ago that it was released to only 5 senators. Right? And these senators are perceived to be as not aligned with the President on the impeachment issue. I don't know what the significance is, considering my recent experience in discussing their budgetary allocations. I'm not going to speculate, but I will tell you that before we held the press con, we had a closed-door meeting with the Defense Council. And though I did not receive the information myself, we were told that the information came from a politician of high standing, right, with extensive experience, and that the request was for us to bring this out because it was exerting considerable pressure on members of the court. As I explained to the impeachment court, our purpose was to bring it into the light so that we might be able to put a stop to that effort. I never sought to question the integrity of the senators. I made that very clear. Be that as it may, they felt that it was incorrect for me not to reveal my source and punish me accordingly. That's the truth of that. Okay.
This is a follow-up on the question of the dollar account. That bothers me a lot. They say that he has $10 million. And he said, Corona says,
that's not any. Now how are you going to prove who is right in this case? I mean, are you going to release the Supreme Court? Are you going to show the dollar account on the bank? How, or are you going to let the Chief Justice himself say, I don't have any? How are you going to resolve this problem of the dollar account? Because that's bothering me.
Thank you for the question. I know at this point there is some sort of a confusion on the legal proceeding and the public trial. I would like to be very clear that there was no allegation. There is no allegation on the 10 million in the verified complaint. There was no allegation of dollar account in the verified complaint. In fact, there were allegations of accounts, But the 2.3 in Article 2 pertaining to the so-called ill-gotten law was trashed or removed. That is why are we even talking about this? And why are we facing it? Because of public opinion. We know that this is being played out. This has been properly managed. And to my mind, as I mentioned to you a while ago, I anticipate that this has been properly premised or predicated in terms of the preparation or the commencement of the proceedings next week. The only question, you see the questions that you asked us? Walang pwede yung hindi siya. It's, to my mind, it is a preparation of really having to sit on this.
The part of the problem with this dollar question is that it is a negative allegation. There is no evidence that is acceptable. Why? Well, the law itself prohibits the evidence from being used. The law itself says that only the depositor has the right to waive the information. Now, let me ask you a simple question. There is a financial component to being a member of the Rotary Club. If they ask you if you're financially able to sustain your membership, would you disclose your dollar accounts? Would you disclose all your assets here? You might say it's not the same. The problem is, the Republic Act does not make a distinction. It doesn't say that if you're a public officer, you have to disclose. It doesn't say that if you're facing an impeachment, you have to disclose. Why was the law written that way? To tell you the truth, it was written to protect investors. Now we're seeing problems with the law. The problem is this. You cannot change the rules in the middle of the game. The rules are as they are. Now, should the dollars be disclosed in the SALL? We go back to the first question. Is there a duty to declare your dollar holdings if the law says that you can keep them confidential? Obviously, there is no duty. There is no duty, and if you do not disclose, there is no violation. But, does it mean that you should not? Well, you can if you want to. Now, if you refuse, does that make you a criminal? No. Does it make you insensitive to public opinion? Maybe. But are you required to give in just because people are curious? Absolutely not. If there is an allegation that you stole the money, if there is any showing that you sold decisions, that you illegally collected money and you turned it into dollars, that would be a different case. But if there is simply an inkling or a suspicion or a curiosity about whether you hold dollar accounts, well, I beg your pardon. There is no legal duty for anyone. Now, let me go to your question. Will he disclose the dollar accounts? He said he will. I cannot tell him when to do that. You have to remember, while we are his counsel, he's a lawyer himself. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he has said. So, let's be patient. Thank you for your interest. It's also intriguing to me. But you see, there is a legal conundrum regarding the disclosure of dollars. Oh, by the way, just one more thing I think you should be aware of. Even if the law requires you to disclose your cash, okay, there is another provision which says that when the law speaks of cash, it speaks of legal tender. And legal tender does not include foreign currency. You see? Now, I'm just telling you what the state of the law is. If it is frustrating to you, go to Congress and ask them to change it. But that is what the law says.
Okay, John also being present will have the last question.
Good afternoon, gentlemen, lady. In the various articles that have appeared in the papers, including those written by Bernas and Newman, they have always stated that the impeachment trial is supposed to be not a court of law. And yet, from what I have seen, I don't see any difference. All I hear are all legal terms, and you're talking about this way that what is the law and what is not. I have the basic premise of the impeachment trial is to find out whether CJ is fit to continue as Chief Justice or not.
Well, thank you very much for your observation. Let me bring you back to the oath of the senators. Their oath, which is different from the oath of office, they have a special oath to sit as judges of the impeachment court. Says, I will do impartial justice, that is for the impeachment trial, in accordance with the Constitution and the laws of the Philippines. It doesn't say anything else. Secondly, the purpose of impeachment of the impeachment trial is to determine if he has committed any of the acts listed in the Constitution. Fitness for office is already presumed because he already holds the office. You remember that before one is appointed to the judiciary, he goes through the JBC. That is where fitness is determined. Now, if he commits an act after he is declared to be fit, that is what the impeachment is for. So the impeachment deals with acts performed, not a question of overall fitness. That is determined in the beginning. See? There must be specific acts alleged, which is why that this complaint is a weak one, because it does not specifically allege acts that constitute violations of the Constitution. I am not saying that Chief Justice Corona is a perfect public servant, and it would be very difficult to extract those words from my lips with respect to any public official. Let me just say that. But if this is the only complaint, I'm afraid to say, in my own humble view, an acquittal would be merited easily based on the oath of the senator judges. Now, what about the moral satisfaction of the people? That, I agree with you, is a troublesome issue. And that, I agree with Tranquil, is why we have to safeguard the process. Because the most painful aspect about the moral so-called satisfaction of the people is that perhaps if we do the impeachment trial completely right, it might leave a lot of people confused and unhappy. But that is our system of justice. We should be very careful about giving in to having a good feeling, happy feeling population and disregarding the letter of our laws and our Constitution. I am a long-standing advocate of constitutional change, but for the time being, I have to play according to those rules, and I expect everyone else to play according to those rules. If we are unhappy with the Constitution, I join you.
Like me.
Yes, let us go tear it apart and rewrite it. No problem with me. I will be there with you. But for the time being, and until this is finished, we have to play by the rules.
Okay.
That's why I was telling you, painful but true about the dollars, but that is the state of the law.
Okay.
Thank you for your question.
Final question.
Simple things I would like to change. Since it's created so much controversy, let's amend the law on the dollar account for foreign currency deposits. Make an exception for public officials. Let's change that. Second, let's amend the law regarding the statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth. Make it state exactly what we need to state. The problem with that form now, and part of the reason why we wanted to call in the SALNs of the other public officers is because there doesn't seem to be a clear understanding about how it should be filled out. So, if we are able to show all of this, you will see that everybody has some kind of shortcoming in filling it up. That was the only purpose for wanting to show that. So, unfortunately, the Senate has vetoed the repeal of, or the amendments to the SALN law, but I'm hoping that that will be changed. Third, I would advocate for a change in some of the rules of the impeachment itself. I don't think that the prosecutors should be drawn from the House of Representatives. Maybe next time they should get professional prosecutors.